Welcome back to Late Night with Logan Gueths. Today we have a very special guest with us. Please welcome Erik Erikson. Welcome to the show, Erik. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me, Logan Gueths. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, thanks.
You're welcome.
Most of you know who the legendary psychologist Erik Erikson is, but for those of you who don't know, here is a short clip. Okay, that's not the clip we're looking for. I don't know how that got in there, but sorry about that. So, Erik Erikson, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, that clip looked a lot like last weekend.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself now? I mean, this is really only a 30-minute show after all.
Ah, yes, I see. Well, I was born in Frankfurt, Germany on June 15th, 1902, to Carla Abrahamson, a young, beautiful Jewish woman. Her husband at the time fled the country because of fraud and criminal ties. In his absence, my mother, well, let's just say she fulfilled her ID's most basic instincts. So, I don't really know who my real father is.
So how did you really get into psychology then?
Well, despite my parents' wishes for me to go to medical school after gymnasium, I attended the Baden State Art School. I eventually traveled to Vienna, where I met Anna Freud, and then eventually started working with her father, the legendary Sigmund Freud.
I see. How did you make the move into the United States?
Well, I married my wife Joanne and had 2 sons. We moved to the good old United States of America when the Nazis came to power in Germany, seeing as the Nazis didn't really like the Jews.
Ah. Was it difficult growing up as a Jewish kid?
Funny you should ask that. At grammar school, they would tease me for being Jewish, and at Temple, the kids teased me for being Nordic. This rough childhood, I think, led me to do my research in child development.
Oh, that makes sense. But can you tell me more about this development in child?
You can do it. Not everyone can be as intelligent as me.
Yeah. So can you tell me more about this child development theory?
Well, I stayed true to Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic assumptions, but there were differences as well. I kept the ego theory and the Oedipus complex and development of the self through various stages. But rather than rely entirely on universal drives from within the psyche, I use environmental factors as well. But the theory of development is universal, even though different cultures rear children differently.
Now, what are the stages of this theory of development?
I'm glad you asked that. Infants develop hope through trust and mistrust. Toddlers will develop will through autonomy versus shame and doubt. Preschoolers develop purpose through initiative versus guilt. And children ages 7 to 12 develop competence through industry and versus inferiority. Adolescents ages 13 to 19 develop fidelity through identity versus role confusion. Adults age 20 to 34 develop love through initiative versus isolation. Middle adulthood, ages 35 to roughly 65, develop care through generativity versus stagnation. And elderly develop wisdom through ego, integrity versus despair. And it must be stressed that children shouldn't be rushed into developmental stages. They will mature into them over time.
Thank you, Erik Erikson. You want to leave us with something more interesting about yourself?
First, I'd like to say hello to my 2 children out there watching at home. It's getting late, kids. Better get to bed. I had a 3rd child. Don't like to talk about it. He had Down syndrome. I actually told the other 2 that he died. We actually sent him off to a mental institution.
Okay, that's fascinating.
It is.
Well, thanks for the interview.
Bye!